Duck jokes, animal jokes. Q. At what time does a duck wake up? A. At the quack of dawn. Q. What do you call a cat that swallows a duck? A. A duck-filled fatty pus. Q. Did you hear about the duck with a drug problem? A. He was a quackhead. Q. What do you call a duck that steals? A. A robber ducky. Q. What did Detective Duck say to his partner? A. Let's quack this case. Q. What did the duck say when he dropped the dishes? A. I hope I didn't quack any. Q. What did the duck say when the waitress came? A. Put it on my bill. Q. What do ducks get after they eat? A. A bill. Q. What happens when a duck flies upside down? A. It quacks up. Q. What do you call a duck on drugs? A. A quackhead. Q. Where did the duck go when he was sick? A. To the doctor. Q. How do you make a duck sing soul music? A. Put him in the microwave until his bill withers. Q. Why don't ducks tell jokes when they fly? A. Because they would quack up. Q. What did the drug dealer say to the duck? A. Are you on quack? Q. Why was the teacher annoyed with the duck? A. Because he wouldn't quit quacking jokes. Q. What does a duck get after he eats? A. A bill. Q. What do ducks have with soup? A. Quackers. Q. What do ducks watch on TV? A. Documentaries. Q. What do you call a duck with fangs? A. Count Duckula. Q. What do you get when you put 4 ducks in a box? A. A box of quackers. Q. What happens when Donald Duck flies upside down? A. He quacks up. Q. What is a chick's favorite drink? A. Pepsi. Q. Why are ducks bad drivers? A. Their windshields are quacked. A duck walks into a bar and says, "Give me 200 beers." The bartender says, "How are you going to pay for that?" So the duck says, "Just put in on my bill." 2 Scottish ducks were waddling down the road. One said, "Quack." The other said, "I am going as quack as I can." Religious cowboy. The devout cowboy lost his favorite Bible while he was mending fences out on the range. 3 weeks later, a duck walked up to him carrying the Bible in its mouth. The cowboy couldn't believe his eyes. He took the precious book out of the duck's mouth, raised his eyes heavenward and exclaimed, "It's a miracle." "Not really," said the duck. "Your name is written inside the cover." Night of drinking. A man and his pet duck walk into a bar. It's about 5 p.m., but they're ready for a good night of drinking. They start off slowly, watching TV, drinking beer, eating peanuts. As the night goes on, they move to mixed drinks, and then shooters, one after the other. Finally, the bartender says, "Last call." So, the man says, "One more for me, and one more for my duck." The bartender sets them up and they shoot them back. Suddenly, the duck falls over dead. The man throws some money on the bar, puts on his coat and starts to leave. The bartender yells, "Hey buddy, you can't just leave that lion there." To which the man replies, "That's not a lion, that's a duck." Movies. A man in a movie theater notices what looks like a duck sitting next to him. "Are you a duck?" asked the man, surprised. "Yes." "What are you doing at the movies?" The duck replied, "Well, I liked the book." Front seat. A policeman in the big city stops a man in a car with a duck in the front seat. "What are you doing with that duck?" he exclaimed. "You should take it to the zoo." The following week, the same policeman sees the same man with the duck again in the front seat, with both of them wearing sunglasses. The policeman pulls him over. "I thought you were going to take that duck to the zoo." The man replied, "I did. We had such a good time. We are going to the beach this weekend. 2 ducks. 2 ducks are in a pond. One went quack quack. And the other duck said, that's funny, I was just about to say that. Vladimir the Duck. The Tale of Vladimir the Duck Part 1, A Duck with Quackitude. Vladimir was a strange little duck, some would even say that he was quackers. Whenever he had to pay for things he would simply say, put it on my bill. Or failing that he would sign a check with his quill. Feather. Vladimir lived a stressful life with a full-time job as a bath duck for a certain Josh Duckett, until one day Vladimir quacked under the pressure and ducked his responsibilities. Vladimir stole a huge wad of bills from the bank because he was in fact a robber duck. Vladimir flew away from the bank with grace, it was poultry in motion, and flew to Bath, which he heard was a bubbling city. Vladimir stayed in Bath for a while thinking he was safe, but at the quack of dawn his door flapped open, ducking hell, it's Duck Van Dyke. Gobbled Vladimir as he quapped his pants. Vladimir had no plan to escape. So he just had to wing it, and peeking his time carefully to duck Duck Van Dyke's duck laser, he dived out of the window. As Vladimir flew away he thought that life as a robber duck was not all it was quacked up to be, and if he turned himself in he might get released early from duck prison with extra credit for good conduct. The Tale of Vladimir the Duck Part 2, The Quackool. Vladimir was sentenced to serve 5 years in duck prison, which he thought was frankly ridiculous. His cellmate in the duck prison was Georgina Duckins, who was a quack whore and smelt quite foul. One day, Vladimir was in the showers and suddenly Georgina Duckins came up behind him and gave him a good anal ducking as she ducked him in the butt quack. Soon, Vladimir came to realize that life in duck prison was even more quap than life as a robber duck, as all the other duck prisoners made fun of his premature quackulation problem. And so he began to quackulati his escape plan. Unfortunately, Georgina Duckins found out about Vladimir's plan to duck out of prison and forced Vladimir to take her with him. Under the threat of exposing his plans, which Vladimir had to agree on. On the night before the escape, Vladimir was reading his favorite book, Harry Cacker and the Ducklet of Fire, which was set in Duckworth's school of witch quack and wizardry. His favorite character, of course, was Ducko Malfoy. Suddenly there was a rumble. Vladimir checked the clock and it was the quack of dawn. Georgina, he whispered, and he had to wait a minute before Georgina Duckins bobbed her head over the bunk. Shut the duck up. I am trying to sleep, Georgina replied, but the cell rumbled again and flashing blue lights appeared. Before Vladimir knew it, he had been abducted by aliens. When Vladimir became fully conscious again, he was in the TARDUCK faced with the doctor and Amy Pond, who had enlisted his help to solve the quack in space and time. The Tale of Vladimir the Duck Part 3, The Duck Night Rises. The doctor needed Vladimir's help to stop a plan most foul conceived by the Yoker and his accomplice Harley Quill. This evil scheme would induce a quack in space and time, creating a dimensional portal that would release the quacken. The doctor was unable to stop the Yoker alone, and so took Vladimir under his wing and gave him an induction in the art of Wing Chun and sword fighting. Soon Vladimir could handle a sword with dexterity and was a Duck Norris level badass. Vladimir was ready and had earned his license to quill. The Duck Night had risen. Vladimir returned to the city of Bath, where he would find the Yoker and stop his plans. But Vladimir had no clear plan, he was winging it, and the Yoker found him first and dealt Vladimir a heavy blow before Vladimir could duck. Vladimir was injured, his sword-wielding wing had been clipped. Fortunately he was ambidextrous and could use his other. The Yoker's accomplice Harley Quill was a falcon and was ordered by the Yoker to attack Vladimir, but she refused. Harlequin was indeed a falcon, but wouldn't he harm another bird, for she was a bishop because she was in fact a bird of prey. Utilizing this opening, Vladimir cut off the yoker's head, and as he stared at the yoker's decapitated body, he said, "You seem to have lost your head. Maybe you should have ducked."